Carlos, firstly, congratulations on this new track. I can't congratulate you on the album just yet because I haven't heard it.
All
But
right.
tell me a little bit about how, firstly, the song came to be, and maybe how the album came to be too.
Yeah, I suppose this song, as Green kind of put out on the press release, he started writing these lyrics while we were listening to Doggerel when we got the masters back, and we were listening to them and the speakers in the main venue and in the Workman's. We had that little privilege thanks to Trev, and so Green started writing these lyrics there, and then shortly after that we were on tour, kind of constantly and non-stop, and before we went on tour, Green did a little demo of the idea he wanted this song to be, and we had it and we listened to it in the van quite a bit, and we started writing it on in between sound checks and stuff like that. And then I mean, with the year that we had, it was just mostly constant being away from home and not having a space to all be together and write. But we decided to make a little, I think we didn't really decide we wanted to write a whole album last year until maybe, I don't know, February or something like that. And it was because we were touring since finishing in the studio for Doggerel until February non-stop, and we realized that we were going to be doing that for a long time, and we decided that we were happy to do that with that album for a year, but we needed more music to look forward to. So we decided to make a bit of space during the summer, as much as possible to have time in Dublin and work on music. And it really became as the year progressed and the touring became more exhausting, having that little oasis of writing time in Dublin was a very therapeutic thing for us, and a great way to kind of escape the new pace of life that we found ourselves in. And so we just went for it, and we wrote. We didn't really have a clear idea of what album we wanted to write or anything. We just wanted to write and see what came out. And as we did that throughout the summer, there was a lot of music that didn't make the record, but there was some songs appeared to have certain things in common with each other, and on the album started kind of like showing its shape quite naturally. But it was mostly something that we just needed to do for ourselves. And by the end of the summer, we were quite excited with what we had, and we decided that we wanted to release the record quite soon. So we started the studio arrangements, and then I suppose we ended up recording the album that we're putting out in January with Dan Hegarty again, and it was just a perfect end to that cycle of Doggerel, to be honest, to go into the same studio that record was recorded in, with the same producer, and just a lot of new music. And I mean, I want to say closure, but I really sense a progression that point, when we recorded the record.
When I spoke to you guys when Doggerel was being released, Brian said that you'd held back on a few songs to put onto the next record. Did any of those make this new record?
No. No, we kind of had that, there was. I remember when we were doing Doggerel, even there was some songs like Sha 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 that we were thinking, well, we saved that for the second record. Does Doggerel need this song? It's pretty good as it is, without that song. And then we decided that the song was a very good song, and that there was no point in holding back. That we should just have more confidence in what we're about to write, when Doggerel was out, and so we decided to do that. And anything that was written beforehand, some songs like, you remember that we released this little EP called Darklands Versions last Christmas, and so we had the singles from that Dan Hegarty recorded before Doggerel came out. And then we went back in there at the end of last summer with a couple of songs that were written while Doggerel was being written. And so that song, More Than Anything, and You Can't Realize, there were songs that were from the time that we wrote Doggerel, but we never recorded them. So we went back into Darklands and did them again, which was another kind of beautiful thing, it's actually quite beautiful to just go back, to where you come from and do it again, even though you've progressed somewhere else.
Yeah, you probably find in a couple of years' time, or maybe even now already, you have these songs that haven't really come out, certainly on any album format. Like, you songs, older songs like Winter in the Sun, that a lot of people won't necessarily know unless they saw you back in the early days.
Yeah.
But I mean, just getting back to something you mentioned there, going back in to record with Dan, was that just a no-brainer?
With Dan Carey.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, it wasn't that straightforward. We attempted to record this record before in last, when was it? It was in October, and we went to LA. We finished a tour in America and we stayed in LA and did a bit of work in a studio there with a different producer, and it was a brilliant experience over there. Very different to what the experience would have been with Dan, because Dan's studio is very, very specific, and there's very few studios like that left in the world, and so. But we wanted a bit of the taste of that, of the big studio, big legendary studio, and all this legendary gear, and on to be in the history of these amazing recordings that we all love and grew up with. But we did that, and all enjoyed it a lot. But and though the record came out sounding brilliant, it just didn't feel like us that much, which is something that is, it makes sense to me now in hindsight that I didn't. It's because it's way too far away from where we came from. You're recording in a completely different atmosphere when you're in LA in the sun, and we thought that atmosphere was going to suit this record, but it didn't really. So even though that record that was recorded in LA was brilliant, it didn't feel completely right. So we decided to re-record it with Dan Carey, because we knew that he's got the privilege of having seen us before any of the success, and having seen what the actual the raw energy of this band before it attracts any attention, and so he's able to recreate that, even though there's a pressure of expectation coming from us.
There's that thing though, the expectation. I mean, you've had that kind of hanging over you, or maybe you haven't. Maybe you've just kind of managed to deflect it. But expectation has been, the undoing of many a great band and many a great artist over the years. Was that something in the back of your mind, or is it a case that you're a tight knit group, everyone knows that any expectations externally would be nothing compared to the expectations you have of yourself as a band?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a very difficult balance, and I think you always it's hard. It is certainly hard to ignore that external expectation, as you're saying, but I think we managed to. I don't think we managed to ignore it. I think we just managed to forget about it by writing the album in the way that we did, and in the way that it was such an it was pure escapism to write this record. We were running away. We were locking ourselves into this little rehearsal room in Dublin to write a record that was only meant to be for us, to write music that was meant to be for us. And then the next day we'd go out into the world and fly out to Norway or whatever and play a festival. But then we'd always return to this tiny little room and write the music there. And it really felt like, when the five of us were in that room, it really felt like we were a band that no one knew, and it felt like it was just ours. So I think the writing sessions weren't impacted at all by that external expectation that does exist for sure, and I'm happy that happened for sure, because I think that's where you can go wrong writing your second record. When you write your first record, you definitely just write it for yourself because no one's listening, but and I think it's really easy to be overly aware of the ears that are listening once the first record is successful.
I mean, does success and acclaim and all that, does it change you as a person and as an artist?
Um, it definitely, I have to honestly say that it does, and even if I don't want it to, or even if I didn't, when I was warned about this, when we started, kind of like our label head, remember, told me, make sure you don't, you never listen, make sure you never listen to what people say about you. Make sure you just always listen to the voice that you had before anyone else was aware of you, and it's very, that's I remember when he said that, I was kind of like, what? I don't know what he's talking about. I don't understand how that would ever happen to me, but it does happen, and you just kind of constantly have to go back into yourself, and it's it's a continuous effort to listen to your own voice, and I think it can affect you in different ways. I mean, I've definitely felt more, self-conscious from knowing that there's people listening, and I've definitely felt a lot more confident in my skills and in my creativity, and it just it's like anything, it's up and down all the time, but I suppose it's more exaggerated when you're aware of all the that there's a lot of when you're aware of the awareness that people have of you.
Yeah, I mean, I know maybe you're not aware, but when you were playing in Vicar Street back just before Christmas, somebody sitting near me goes, "Oh, he's getting up on the amp again. I hope he doesn't fall again." Those amp climbing antics of yours are getting more precarious as the months and
Yeah,
years go on.
they are,
Got to
to
be
be
careful
honest.
about that. Can
I
can I
know.
just take you back to Doggerel though? Doggerel obviously, it gets shortlisted for the Mercury Music Prize. It gets shortlisted for the Choice Music Prize as well. And as much as many people will say, winning awards isn't what it's about, and it may not be. It must be kind of nice, though, was it?
Of course, yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it doesn't change anything that we didn't win the award, or it doesn't change anything that we were nominated for it. But um, it is obviously it's nice. Recognition is something that I think should always be welcome. It's not something uh, that you should abuse or use in any way. But I think to welcome recognition is just a no-brainer. And yeah, I mean that's as far as it goes. I'm proud. I was proud of the record, anyways. But to have prestigious awards like that recognize the work that you've made is something that's, yeah. I was certainly happy when I heard about that.
Yeah. And touring. I mean, so many people get into music. They want to go out. They want to see the world. They want to play in front of audiences and things like that. And that's great. It must be such a buzz, but there must be a monotonous side to it as well. I mean, how do you? I remember Green, or one of the lads, saying to me after the first very long tour, he said the biggest thing he learned from that was leave them alone when they're tired.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you survive something like that? Because you essentially you were on tour for the best part of 2 years with very, very little break. And the break that you had, you've just described, you essentially recorded your debut album and your second album.
Yeah. Um, I think, when you say how do you survive all the touring, I think certain aspects of yourself don't survive the touring. I have to say, sadly, like, I think, you know, I mean, I'm sure I think, to be honest, I think I'm recovering now, because this is like, I suppose this is like um, I'm just, being in isolation now, having these circumstances now are actually bringing me back to the pace that I would have been in 2 years ago. Um, but I didn't. For a long time when you're touring, you just kind of like get used to it, and you learn. There's obviously a lot of great things about it, and you get. It's how you use it as well. You get to see the world if you want to see it, or it can very easily just flash by you, and you miss it. Because it's so quick. Um, and I've done both. I've done going, making the effort to get up early in the morning, even though I haven't slept enough to go out and see the cities and sit down in a cafe or in a bar or whatever, and take it in on my own. And I've done the taking it in with the band, and with the friends that you make on tour, the people that you work with on tour. And then I've also done the whole, like, where you just don't see anything, and you literally, you sleep as much as you can, and then you walk into the venue, and you do your sound check and then you sit down on a backstage for a few hours and then you do the gig and then you get back into bed. Like I've done that as well, and that's depressing. That but it obviously it's a choice. Sometimes it's not very easy to bring yourself to choose the better side of touring, but it is a choice, and I don't know. It's like you just kind of have to adapt. You have to develop a new way of. It's like exactly like this, We all of the pace of everyone's life right now has changed with this, this virus and the circumstances, and we're all working differently, and now we're all, we see less people, and we're away from a lot of people that we miss, and but after these, 6-7 weeks that we're in this, we're all more or less adapted to it, and it's the new reality, and I think it's the same with touring. We are very adaptable beings. I don't know. I think it just takes a lot of being aware of everything, and being aware of time as well. Being aware that everything is constantly changing, and that we will go back to something that is more comfortable at some point. And all you can do is to make the best out of the time that you have right now and the circumstances you're in. And I think I've learned a lot of that from touring. From my life constantly changing and being up and down, quick and slow. So yeah, I mean it's hard, but it's hard in the same way that anything is hard. At the same time, I think I'm in the luckiest position I could have ever imagined myself being in this band.
I mean, time, by definition, is transient, and you I suppose no matter what situation you find yourself in, you've kind of said it there. You got to make the most of it and appreciate it as much as you can. I mean, what are your hopes like for this album when it comes out and beyond that? I'm not asking is there a long-term plan, but just are there certain things you'd like to do, you'd like to happen?
Well, there was certain things I wanted before all of this. I was excited to announce the tour that was going to come with this announcement. I was excited to go into that next level of venues. And I was excited for the reach of the record in the live setting. And now I know that that's not really a possibility for a while, and I'm okay with that. I hope that we'll be able to do it in 2021. And as far as the music goes, I just the only hopes I have is that people that anyone that's loved the music that we've made before will have the same response to this album, because I think even though the music is quite different, and everyone will see it as the album comes out, it comes from the same place of honesty, and it comes from the same 5 individuals, and I just all I want, I'm very proud of this record. I'm probably a lot prouder of this new record than I am of the first one, and I hope it's it's a shared feeling amongst the band and all of our fans.
Well, look, it goes without saying there's a huge amount of anticipation, excitement about it, about the tour when that's announced as well. And it's it's great to speak to you. I enjoy the solitude if you can. It's difficult when you're not choosing it yourself, but
yeah,
we're all in the same situation. But listen, thanks so much for chatting to me, Carlos, and congratulations on this single and on all the success you've had. It's lovely to see.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dan. Could I say hi to my mom, because she lives in Spain, but she's been listening to Irish radio non-stop now since this quarantine started. So
of course you can.
Hey Mum, I love you. I hope you're keeping well. I'll miss you, and I'll see you soon.
Carlos, you're a gentleman. Take care of yourself.
Cheers, Dan.